Now we have a celebrity octo dad, and it is Mel Gibson because he now has an 8th child. This one has a different mother than the other 7, as you may know. He had an affair with Oksana Grigorieva, and it all came out a few months back when Radar Online published a series of the couple getting cozy in Costa Rica before anybody knew. And after those pictures came out, Mel's wife Robin filed for divorce. Well, now Oksana and Mel have a healthy baby girl. Add that to the 7 that he already had with his wife Robin. Or with, yes, Robin, yes.
That's a lot of kids.
That is a lot of kids. It's going to be an expensive holiday season at the Gibson household.
It's a city-sanctioned bike lock. Now you're locked in for 3 years. Oh, you can pay $200.
Are you kidding me? Are you saying if I want to lock up my bike, I have to pay?
Oh, you can lock up your bike. You can't remove it. You're locked in for 3 years?
For a look back at some of the stories making news this week, we are joined by Dawn Yannick from Life and Style magazine. Hi there, Dawn. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So, Michael Jackson's documentary, This Is It, was finally released this week after all that hype. What are the early reviews saying?
Well, people who've seen this movie generally really like it and are fascinated by it. I mean, what you see is this raw footage, these rehearsals, and even though it doesn't lead up to an actual show, because of course, unfortunately, his life was cut short, what you see is touching, it's inspiring, it's heartbreaking, and you want to see more of it. So people are really liking it, but the reality is it's mostly for the fans. And I think what we're going to see is that reflected in the box office numbers, because it's doing well, but it's not doing as well as maybe people expected it to.
So are we thinking that this documentary could make box office history, or maybe not quite?
Probably not. I mean, we're not seeing Titanic numbers or Dark Knight numbers or even really Miley Cyrus numbers.
Right.
But what we are seeing is probably about $20 million for the weekend domestically and about $50 million from the Wednesday release to the Sunday end of the weekend. But I think, you know, it's a 2-week limited run engagement, so people were hoping that that would build up the frenzy and the excitement and really make people flock to the theaters. And I think we're certainly going to be seeing a lot more of that overseas and later down the road on cable and at-home DVD sales.
Certainly not chump change any way you slice it.
Absolutely not. It's doing very well, very respectably, and even though Halloween is going to cut into some of the weekend profits.
That's right. Also happening this week, Jon Gosling's girl Hailey spoke to The Insider. Tell us what she revealed.
Well, Hailey was revealing that life with Jon Gosling, surprise, surprise, has been painful and difficult at times. Of course, she's been under so much scrutiny, under the microscope so much, and she's felt the need to defend herself and talk about this publicly. But of course, the big question is, why is she talking about her significant other while she's still in the relationship with him and talking about him lashing out at her and kind of taking out some of his frustrations on her? It seems like a bit of a publicity stunt just to get in the public eye and also to set Jon Gosling up so that he could publicly apologize, because his reaction to all this has been fascinating. He came out and publicly apologized for his behavior to Hailey, to Kate. He has said that he's under counseling from a very prominent New York City rabbi and wants to make amends and be a better father, a better ex-husband, a better boyfriend, all of that.
Oh, it's so hard to tell with this crew what's real and what's just all a publicity stunt. You know, it's one thing after another.
It is. You know, people are cynical, and rightly so, because of his eccentric behavior and his cavorting around with various women reportedly, and his love of the spotlight. But you know what? Even if this is a publicity stunt, we're hoping at Life and Style Weekly that this has an unexpected effect, which is that he does become a better dad.
That's
and
right.
He does kind of turn over a new leaf.
We all wish for that, definitely. Now, in other news, Levi Johnson has announced he is bearing all with Playgirl. What has been the reaction to this?
I think a lot of surprise, a little bit of horror, especially, of course, on the Palin family's part. He's also been pretty vocal about Sarah Palin, about some things going on behind closed doors, and she had been pretty quiet about the whole thing up until recently when she spoke out and said this is absolutely getting out of control. This is a man who just wants fame. You have to consider the source. Now, whatever you feel about Sarah Palin herself or her politics, you have to feel sympathy for her in this particular situation. And I honestly think that this is probably the best advertisement for birth control and avoiding teen pregnancy, because you are now linked with this boy for the rest of your life.
You are absolutely right. Playgirl spread and all. It's
Yeah.
all there.
We're going to be seeing a lot of Levi in the next month or so.
Maybe too much.
Yes.
All right. Andre Agassi has a new book coming out where he openly admits for the first time to using crystal meth. Tell us about this. I mean, that's a hard drug, and not too many athletes have been linked with that publicly.
Absolutely. This is a pretty shocking allegation or admission on his part, especially because he seemed so clean cut. Everybody always loved him. He seemed like the perfect guy. But in this new memoir, he's talking about how he really didn't like tennis all that much, how his father reportedly pushed him into the sport, and how he did casually try crystal meth and then lied to the tennis authorities about it and kind of blame it on his assistant and said, oh, he must have spiked my drink and that's why it showed up in my system. Now, the big thing that critics are saying about this is that, what is the message here? Okay, great, it's going to sell books, but what is the message to kids? It's kind of discussed a little bit too casually for a lot of people's tastes.
Very interesting. All right, now your magazine also has a story out right now about Kate Hudson's big sacrifice for her boyfriend, A-Rod. Tell us about this. Are they still hot and heavy? What's going on?
They are. Love is in the air, and also team spirit is in the air. Kate Hudson is making a big sacrifice from what we hear at Life and Style Weekly. She is not throwing her annual star-studded Halloween bash this year because, of course, Halloween falls on tomorrow. It's on Saturday. And she's going to be in Philly supporting her man, A-Rod. Things are getting really serious. She's been sporting a little diamond pendant with his baseball number around her neck, and reportedly they have been shopping for homes in New York and L.A. together.
Wow.
We've heard that she is really in love. It's very serious, and she wants to take this the distance.
Her taste in men really spans the gamut. I mean, you think about her ex-husband who was like the skinny rocker type, and now she's going for the beefy athlete. It's like
she's very equal opportunity.
That's
apparently.
right. All right, Brad Pitt. He was in a motorcycle crash recently, but I hear he was more worried about Angelina's reaction.
That's right. He was in a little bit of a fender bender in LA on October 24th. But what we heard at Life and Style Weekly was that he was nervous that Angelina was going to reportedly kill him because she thinks that motorcycles are too dangerous.
Oh my gosh, she's a little bit of a daredevil herself, though, right?
She is. She definitely takes a lot of risks. She has her pilot's license. She's been flying around, but apparently motorcycles, that's where she draws the line.
So it sounds like their relationship is still solid. If he's worried about her reaction, then they got to still be together.
Absolutely. I think they have a solid relationship. They're all about the kids and about their humanitarian work. I think they are a great couple.
That's great. And speaking of humanitarian work, the Material Girl was in Malawi this week to begin construction on a new school. What can you tell us about this?
That's right. She was in Malawi this week with her 4 children. Of course, 2 of her children have been adopted from Malawi, and they were breaking ground on this $15 million school for girls. She also promised to bring electricity to this one town in Malawi, and I mean, her work is so wonderful. It's so inspirational, and she's always said, I didn't choose Malawi. Malawi chose me, and it's given me so much, and I think she's just doing amazing work.
She built a school over there, is that right?
That's
for girls?
Right. An academy for girls. It's a $15 million commitment. She's donated a lot of her time and other money to various organizations in the country. And one of her big things that she wants to bring attention to is that so many children, I believe it's like 500,000 children, have lost their parents due to AIDS and AIDS-related diseases. So it's something she wants to bring awareness to, bring money to, so these children really do have a better life.
All right. Any more stories we're keeping an eye on as we go into next week, Dawn?
Absolutely. There's lots and lots of Twilight news that we're keeping our eyes on because, of course, we are counting down to the New Moon premiere later this month. So make sure you pick up next week's issue because we're going to have lots of juicy stuff on Rob Pattinson and Taylor Lautner and the whole cast.
And we all know people cannot get enough of that.
That's right.
Dawn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And for more on these stories and more stories, be sure to check out Life and Style magazine. It's on newsstands right now. That's all the buzz we have for you today. I'm Tanya Rivero in New York. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.